Negro slave trade was flourishing between West Africa and the New World, a number of the more rebellious slaves escaped from their white masters into the dense jungles of Dutch Guiana. There they lived in comparative safety and followed a code of living that is still practiced by their descendants, who are known today as Jukas, the bush Negroes of Dutch Guiana. The approach to this unique land of the Jukas is by way of a treacherous river which rises and falls in accordance with the whimsical rainfall of the tropics and penetrates the darkest recesses of the jungle. The long, hard journey is made by dragging canoes through roaring rapids and over gigantic rocks which occur at frequent intervals along the way. Added to this, the water is infested with a dangerous species of small carnivorous fish which attack in schools and have a preference for human flesh. None but the more courageous boatmen will venture into the water when these fish are known to be about. And it was over this same hazardous route that the ancestors of the Jukas traveled in their reckless flight for freedom. The jungle which the white men could not conquer took them in and provided them with a hard but a free existence. Even after slavery was abolished in Dutch Guiana, they remained in the wild habitat which they conquered and continue to defy the encroachments of civilization. And now we have arrived in the land of the Jukas. Just behind this waterfall lies a village that was founded 2 centuries ago and remains to this day as a remarkable testimonial to the African slaves who broke their chains of bondage and founded the first independent democracy in the New World. Before entering the village, we come upon a few of its inhabitants, who seem to be taken by surprise and are not very cordial in their reception, for we are white men and the traditional enemies to the Jukas, who cannot forget the cruel treatment which their forefathers received from our race. To enter the village, one must pass under a palm-fringed pole mounted horizontally over the main pathway. This simple but compulsory ritual in the minds of the Jukas relieves the visitor of evil spirits so that he can bring no harm to the inhabitants. The village itself is patterned after those of West Africa, the aboriginal home of the Jukas. At first it appeared to be deserted, but we soon discovered that our unexpected intrusion had frightened the natives, who took to cover at the sight of us. In spite of their proverbial independence, the inherited fear of the white man is still in the hearts of the Jukas. We later learned that at this village it was necessary for a visitor to announce his coming several days in advance by special messenger, and this was a formality that we had completely overlooked. It required much persuasion and cajoling before we could calm their fears and assure them that our mission was a friendly one. But nothing could be accomplished in this respect until we had explained matters to the king, or grand man of the village, a most unique character, who seriously accepted our apologies for trespassing upon his royal domain. His Majesty's uniform, scepter, and silver badge are the gifts of the Dutch government. There are 6 tribes of Jukas in Dutch Guiana, and each tribe has its own rulers. Once a year, the 6 Negro kings, with much pomp and ceremony, journey down the long river to Paramaribo, the capital of Dutch Guiana, to be royally entertained by the white governor, who also presents each of them with 1,500 guilders, the annual tribute of the Dutch government to the land of the Jukas, a custom which dates from the days of the Black Rebellion. The Jukas have 2 languages, talkie-talkie, a strange combination of French, Dutch, English, and Portuguese, which outsiders may understand, and deepie-talkie, a secret language known only to themselves. Affairs of vital importance are discussed in the deepie-talkie tongue. They have no written language. In Juka land, the man builds many houses, for he is prolifically polygamous, and each of his wives must have her own home. The father may have 5 or 6 houses, with a different wife and family living in each. But generally speaking, marriage is not taken very seriously, and sexual relationships are apt to be promiscuous. Paternity, therefore, in this primitive society, is a doubtful equation, whereas maternity is never in doubt, and it is for this reason that the grand man, or king, inherits his title and position strictly from his mother. The prospective husband must pay a bride price or dowry to the bride's family, and if he discovers that the bride is not a virgin, he is entitled to a refund. As each house is completed, a wife moves in, and the family begins to multiply. The mother is really the all-important member of the colony, for it is through her that lineal descent is determined and the primitive culture of her people is preserved. Her mission in life is to work, produce children, and share her husband with other women. This she accepts as her natural destiny, and beyond that, nothing concerns her. The children have no organized games, no schools, nothing that is considered essential to progress. Yet they live happily in an atmosphere of peace, which is still but a dream in the so-called civilized world. Bathing is a communal event that confines itself to this method because of the carnivorous fish which inhabit the jungle streams. The all-important problem in the life of the village belle is the care of her kinky locks, which apparently require a mathematical mind to arrange them in their very exacting proportions. The Jukas are the characteristic West African types, with broad noses, thick lips. The Jukas are the characteristic West African types, with broad noses, thick lips, and care of her kinky locks, which apparently require a mathematical mind to arrange them in their very exacting proportions. In the life of the village belle is the care of her kinky locks, which apparently require a mathematical mind to arrange them in their very exacting proportions. The Jukas are the characteristic West African types, with broad noses, thick lips, and kinky hair. There are no evidences of racial mixture among them, no hybrids, no mulattoes. Due to centuries of isolation, the purest strain of Negroid blood in the Western world may be found here. From time immemorial, rice has been one of the chief sources of food in tropical countries, and it is one of the most prolific of all crops. Everyone in Juka land earns the food he eats and lives on an even par with his neighbor. Communism is practiced here in its ideal state, and aside from occasional quarrels over women, nothing seems to mar the general peace and happiness of the community. Although some food is prepared in the individual houses, a large amount of cooking is done in community kitchens. Cassava, the principal food, is made from the poisonous roots of cassava plants, which are skinned and grated and pounded into a starch-like pulp. Before the cassava may be cooked, it is necessary to remove the poisonous prussic acid which it contains, and the method for doing this is most unique. A quantity of the cassava pulp is placed in a long cylindrical container made from finely woven reeds. When this container is suspended from a tree and stretched, it compresses and causes the prussic acid to flow out through its porous reeds. This acid is so poisonous that when enough of it is taken, it will cause instant death. Bush Negroes have been known to commit suicide by drinking it, and yet it is extracted from the cassava roots, the Juka's staff of life. After this treatment, whatever poison may be left in the pulp is made harmless through cooking. The preparation of cassava brings to mind the vast number of human sacrifices which primitive people must make in determining the jungle foods which are non-poisonous and safe to eat. When a Juka boatman goes on a journey, he invariably takes a stack of these huge pancakes with him, and as he paddles over the jungle streams, he occasionally breaks off a piece of cassava, dips it in the water, and eats it. The distance he plans to travel may be determined by the number of pancakes which he takes with him. Twilight is heralded by the sound of drums, heartbeats of the jungle, calling the villagers to play and to dance. The whole village sways in rhythm, the same sense of rhythm that characterizes the Negro race the world over, and manifests itself in Negro children almost as soon as they are able to walk. The monotonous beat of drums has a magical effect upon these people. It appears to hypnotize them and make them dance like this for hours without fatigue. Goes on among the Jukas, year in and year out, as it has done for centuries past and may continue to do for centuries to come. For time and tide mean nothing to the children of the jungle. And it is with this thought that we say, farewell to the land of the Jukas.